The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Fantasy. They're coming new customers. Play just $5, get $100 bonus funds. Means promo code MLB SGPN. And welcome everyone to the MLB Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It's currently Tuesday afternoon, October 14th, around 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm your host, Scott, once again joined by Lonte. Together we're going to break down the only game on the Wednesday card, Game 3 of the ALCS between the Blue Jays and the Mariners. Lonte, how's it going with you? What's up?
Not bad, man. Doing all right. Some decent games, I guess, coming up with some interesting games. I will say I don't know about decent, but some interesting storylines. So looking forward to getting into it with you.
Yeah, so I ended up doing a solo show last night, or I should say like midnight, to get into a game going on for Tuesday between the Dodgers and the Brewers. We're going to focus more on the ALCS, so I'll mention what your thoughts were for the series so far. But briefly, starting off with the NLCS, any thoughts on Game 1?
Yeah, I mean, very interesting game. Did it go? Well, let me ask you: did it go kind of how you thought it would go, or did it go in a completely different direction?
I thought the Dodgers would win.
Okay.
I thought that Snell was going to pitch a gem.
Right.
I didn't know he'd be, have one of the best outings of all time, but I thought that he'd have a great performance. I'm annoyed, though, because I had the Dodgers first 5 minus half a run, and they got double played on a fly ball off the wall in center field, which was not a fun time. So I ended up losing the first 5 minus half a run because of the Muncy Grand Slam fiasco. But I did pick the Dodgers to win the game, so I kind of went the way I thought it would. But that 9th inning was nothing I could have really prepared for.
Yeah, weird. And I thought that Snell was obviously good. I thought the Brewers were they were out of their comfort zone with Snell. I mean, he pitched great. Don't get me wrong, but they're usually more plate disciplined than what they were. Honestly, I thought that bullpen was gonna give it up in that 9th inning. But I mean, they came through and they made the timely plays when they needed to. So I don't think it said. I think it actually said more about the Brewers than it did the Dodgers. I thought the Brewers hung tough. They didn't, despite a historical performance from Snell, they hung in there. They didn't have the best stuff. But if you're a Dodgers fan, you're kind of going like, outside of Freeman, they didn't get any hits from the top of their lineup. All the hits came from the bottom of their lineup, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, you can flip it like that. Ohtani's still struggling.
Well, they walked him 3 times, which was the questionable move by Milwaukee. Because like the Phillies series, I mentioned this earlier this morning on the last show, they intentionally walked Ohtani to load the bases, and then you ended up seeing Betts walk.
Yeah.
And that turned out to be the insurance run they needed. So, Ohtani's been struggling, but teams are still pitching around him, which I don't really understand.
Yeah. They probably just don't want to be the team that comes out of a slump on. But, yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting. You could spin it each ways. I mean, I thought the Brewers hung in there tough. They had a chance to win it, just couldn't pull it off. So, yeah, I was a little bit more impressed with the Brewers and how resilient they were despite having a historical performance by Snell.
Yeah, I do think at the end of the day, I guess in hindsight, the results are the only thing that matters, and the Dodgers ended up winning, so I guess it's fine in the end. But I would have brought Snell out there to start the 9th inning. Sasaki showed signs of vulnerability, which he has not shown all postseason, trying to almost hit a guy to tie the game, and Terang moved out of the way and then swung at a pitch at his head. So that's kind of how the game ended. But look, I thought the Dodgers would win the game. I thought they'd win the series. I know we both picked the Dodgers to represent the NL in the World Series. I have them winning the whole thing, so we'll see what happens. But Milwaukee, look, at the end of the day, I still think this team is not going to roll over and die in this series. You faced off against a phenomenal pitcher, and the one pitcher destroyed you. And then once he got pulled from the game, you suddenly came to life. So I'm not going to fully hit the panic button for Milwaukee, even though in theory, the Dodgers, one, if they end up winning Game 2, you could argue that it's over. I don't know if I agree with that in baseball, but you can make the argument. Second of all, the Dodgers do have 3 straight home games. So in theory, if they win all 3 home games, they win the series. So that is another thing Milwaukee could be worried about in theory. I think they should be fine. I mean, at the end of the day, they were awful for 8 innings against a pitcher having an all-time performance. And they had the game-winning run on second base. So they came to life at the end. I think that might carry over into the Tuesday game. We're not here to talk about Tuesday. Point is, Milwaukee, I'm not panicking over them. Snell was great. They were good against the Dodgers bullpen. which has been the Achilles heel for this team for most of the season. I think we get a long series. I don't really see that changing, despite the Dodgers winning Game 1 on the road. Do want to point out, though, before we get into the actual thoughts for the Game 3 between the Mariners and the Blue Jays, I want to briefly remind everyone once again that we have an NHL podcast, Hockey Island Podcast. Join Ryan and Joel as they break down the biggest games, storylines, awards, and best bets throughout the season. Let it slide. I'm assuming you agree with me, though, about Game 1. Milwaukee ended up losing, but you know what? They got to the bullpen, and they shouldn't be panicking. At the end of the day, it's a long series.
Yeah.
I think they bounce back tonight, but either way, I'm not going to – I'll put it this way. We're going to mention the series in a second. Toronto's in a much worse place, obviously, than Milwaukee.
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't panic if I was Milwaukee. I mean, you withstood a great pitching performance, and you still had a chance to win. I mean, that's all you can do in a particular spot that you were in. I mean, I know it's a home game, but you're going against one of the best teams in baseball with championship pedigree. So, I wouldn't look too bad if I was. I mean, I wouldn't look too deep into it. It's a big one tonight. I'm kind of like you. I mean, I know the 2-3-2 format is probably a little bit more lenient to the lesser seed, but yeah, they get one here, and I think they can get one in LA, and they kind of come back and try to finish it off. So yeah, I wouldn't look too deep into it.
I do want to ask you though. So if you were in the situation that Roberts was in, I'm assuming you're also keeping Snell in at least to start the inning in the ninth.
Yes, absolutely.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm old school, like looking at it, like just let him pitch. If they're not showing any signs, and if he's fine, like if you go to him, like, hey, I'm good to go, like, yeah.
I mean, truth is, old school or not, nobody reached second base the entire start.
Yeah, right.
Like he was never in trouble at any point. And the one guy who got a hit, he picked off first base.
Right.
So he basically had a no-hitter for 8 innings.
Yeah, unless he's feeling some discomfort or he's like arm fatigue, and he tells me, okay, that's fine. But otherwise, no, you're not coming out.
Yeah, sorry. I felt the same way. But either way, Dodgers survive, and they end up taking a 1-0 series lead. So, moving on to the upcoming game that we have for Wednesday. Actually, before we get into the game, I want to briefly talk about the series because the Mariners are up 2-0. Won both games in Toronto. I talked about it once again in the last episode. And it feels like Toronto forgot that beating the Yankees does not automatically make you World Series champions. It felt like the Blue Jays were so thrilled to beat a rival in Yankee Stadium. We saw with the celebration, all that stuff in the locker room. It feels like they forgot that they had 2 rounds to go, or maybe there was some entitlement involved, where they thought that since we beat the Yankees, we're going to cruise from this point forward. We have it in the bag, basically. It feels like even though the Mariners have been playing well the first 2 games, despite the really bad scheduling spot for Game 1, Toronto had the solo home run as a leadoff hit, once again, home run by Springer. And since then, they've gotten destroyed. So I want to ask you if you feel the same way. It feels like Toronto, I don't want to say overlooks the right word, but it feels like they were kind of, I'd say, preemptively cashing checks about making the World Series. And they have not been able to actually live up to the fantasy of just getting a bye basically into the World Series. It feels like Toronto hasn't been there mentally, and as a result, they've been getting killed in the first 2 games. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think we give the Mariners credit for winning those 2 games.
They look very good, just besides Seattle. It feels like Toronto kind of coasted.
Yeah, I thought that Jeter on the broadcast did a good job of. He was kind of one of the only guys who were saying like, "Hey, Seattle's similar to what you just said. Like Seattle's in a good spot because although they came off that game, they're in a pretty much a free roll situation because nobody, even all of us, didn't pick them to win Game 1. Mm-hmm. So they were like, hey, we can just go in, play loose, play free. And you saw the results of what happened. I mean, Toronto is – I can't believe that the offense is just kind of bogged down. I mean, I know they had the first 2 innings of that game, of Game 2, was that was really, really good.
They also gave up 3 runs on the top of the first. So.
Yeah, just from a fan perspective, like that game, the first 2 to 3 innings were like probably some of the best 2 or 3 innings that I've seen this postseason. Obviously, with the pitchers being pretty dominant. It's not been a ton of offense, but I mean, I'll give the Mariners credit, but I do think that it was something to be said for the Blue Jays and who they beat and where they did it at. So, yeah, I think it's a little bit of half and half, but I think the biggest problem with the Blue Jays is that, man, the Mariners don't have an easy out right now. I mean, everybody's hitting the ball well.
Well, Polanco especially has been killing them.
Yeah, he has. I mean, and Raleigh's, hitting the ball extremely well. You got Julio.
The three-run
bomb. Yeah, the bottom of the lineup is playing extremely well. I mean, you haven't got anything from Rosarena, if I'm not mistaken. I think
even Garver had a triple off the wall.
Right. He's got some. Rosarena had some good base running, I think, but outside of that, he hasn't gotten going. So, I mean, if I'm Seattle, I'm in a pretty good spot here. You got 3 games at home, probably 3 of the biggest games since Griffey was there. So, like, they're in a great spot, man. Not a good spot for Toronto. Now, is Toronto dead? I don't think so. The way, especially with the way their offense is kind of geared, but they got to get some better. They got to get some better pitching. And I think that was one of the things that we talked about during the Yankee series, which is why we kind of like the Yankees, is due to that pitching. So you had Gosman pitch a gem early on, and he couldn't get that win, so that kind of hurt. Now you're at the back end, and you're throwing Bieber here now, who only went 2 2/3, and he gave up 2 runs and 5 hits.
He was definitely the worst starting pitcher in that entire Yankee series.
Right, and then you're going into an atmosphere that is, I mean, Yankee Stadium, a great atmosphere, but this Seattle atmosphere is going to be electric. So I think Toronto's up against it. Are they done? I don't think so, but it'll definitely be tough. They're going to need to put up probably about 6 runs to win in Seattle, I think.
Well, I do want to ask you, because we're going to get into Game 3 in a second. How do you think Toronto does get back into the series? Is it more physical, actually executing? Is it more mental and just not potentially overlooking a Seattle team that didn't look that impressive against Detroit? Because I feel like even though Seattle's played very well, and I agree with your house money assessment, because nobody really gave Seattle a chance in the series off the 15-inning game in Game 5, where they burned basically every pitcher, I do wonder how much of it is mental, with Toronto basically beating the Yankees and maybe celebrating a bit too early.
Yeah, I can agree. I can get behind that, simply because of, like I said, who they beat and where they beat them at. I mean, they beat them in Yankee Stadium.
It wasn't close either. Like, they dominated.
Yeah, dominated. Yeah. So with the fashion that they won, yeah, I think you could talk about a little bit of, kind of counting the chickens before they hatch, or whatever that saying is. Yeah, but now, I mean, they got their full attention now. And particularly, to be honest, I don't think they played particularly horrible. It's just that Seattle just made the timely hits. They got a couple of double plays here and there, like when the momentum was shifting to Toronto. So I don't per se think that they played bad. Like, I just don't think they played well enough or executed when the time was right. And Seattle did. So now they have their full. Obviously, you got to have their full attention down 2-0 going on the road. So yeah, I agree with you. Probably a little bit more focused, a little bit more locked in than what they were in Game 1, especially Game 1. I mean, Game 1.
Game 1, you had the solo home run, and then I'm pretty sure they had 2 or 3 base runners for the entire game after that.
Yeah.
I think. So they didn't get any traffic at all in Game 1.
Yeah.
Game 2, kind of the same story. I mean, they had a few more guys on base, but they scored 3 runs in the first 2 innings to tie the game, and they didn't score again.
Yeah, I think Miller retired 11 or 12 straight.
Yeah. Shout out to Dylan, by the way, who had the Miller.
Yeah, oh man, that was a great one by him. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Bryce Miller shut them down. So that's
he looked good though.
He looked good. He looked very good. I mean, you figure after the bomb initially, you're like, oh, this game's over.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be ugly.
Seriously, yeah.
And then basically nobody got on base the rest of the start.
It was really good. Yeah.
I did think it was kind of weird that Seattle chose to use Gilbert for Game 2 instead of Castillo, considering that both guys pitched in Game 5, and Gilbert threw about 20, 30 more pitches than Castillo.
Yeah, I think Castillo.
That kind of surprised me.
Castillo's home numbers maybe better.
Could be. I do think that Gilbert wasn't very. The point is, Gilbert wasn't very good, and yet, despite the bad start, it didn't matter because Toronto's bullpens were getting killed in the series. So
maybe they, if they were going worst case scenario, hey, we'll get Gilbert out there and we'll be 1-1 going home with Castillo on the mound versus the opposite. So
that's possible. You see Kirby being listed for Game 3, which I'll mention in a second. But that's one area that I might have overestimated Toronto. The bullpen was good against the Yankees. I know the overall stats don't suggest it because of the Game 2 blowout where the Yankees scored 7 runs that didn't matter towards the end of the games. And, of course, the Game 4 implosion. Or Game 3 implosion. But The point is, I thought Toronto's bullpen as a whole was fine against the Yankees. It has not been good against Seattle in the series. So that has been an area where maybe I overestimated the actual quality of the bullpen, and that's kind of come back to bite me personally in the series. But either way, I see Brian mentioning the home road splits for Castillo. I still find it weird, though, Castillo's not pitching game 3. Because Kirby started that game. Castillo ended up pitching like 17 pitches, and they're using Kirby for game 3. So I found that kind of weird. I thought Kirby would go game 4, and Castillo would go game 3. So that kind of surprised me. But either way, doesn't really matter. Before we get into the actual preview of game 3 by itself, a reminder that we are brought to you by our sponsor, MyBookie.ag. Using the bet on football, college football, baseball playoffs. They have NBA starting up in about a week or so. Use the prop builder, second to none. They're about as simple. Bet anything, anywhere, anytime. Use crypto for deposits and payouts. You can sign up for your new account. Use code SGPN for a special 100% bet back bonus $500 from customers. Look at the G promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Novig, which is America's number prediction market for sports. You're getting great prices on Novig, available in 30 Apple states. So make sure it's available in your state. Download the Novig app. Get $50 when you spend just $5 if you use our promo code SGPN. Get an extra Novig promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Finished going through the overall series recap so far for the Dodgers in the NLCS and for the Mariners in the ALCS. Time to move on into Game 3, taking place on Wednesday. A reminder that there is a day off today for these two teams. It's why we're doing the episode early, because why not? There's only one game they're not playing today, so keep that in mind. But I'm going to also mention that because of the bullpen usage, everyone should be available because there is a day off in between Game 2 and Game 3. For Game 3 in Seattle, you have Bieber going up against Kirby. Kirby so far has been good, made 2 postseason starts against the Tigers, went 10 innings, 2.7 ERA. Bieber has not been good in the postseason, made 1 outing, and the Yankees torched him. He went 2 2/3 innings, ERA of 6.75. So for the money line, Seattle's favored at home, minus 135. I see the Blue Jays at around plus 115. For the over-under, I see a flat 7, minus 115 for the under, and minus 105 for the over. So, Lonte, I'll let you go first. After winning the first 2 games in Seattle, in Toronto, are you picking a really, really solid effort by Toronto to potentially, basically as a must-win game, to showcase some mental toughness, or do you think Seattle jumps them and the Mariners put the series out of reach? What do you like for Game 3?
Yeah, man, it's tough. Like my first thoughts was the numbers maybe a tad bit high, but then after like going through Game 1 and 2 and seeing some of the splits and who did what, I thought Seattle was just dominant, man. I mean, outside of Gosman pitching well, after that, I mean, I thought Seattle's being the superior team. So I was looking more so at an over. I think the Blue Jays, if they're going to have success, they're going to have to hit the ball really well, especially at the top of their order. Seattle's been in a really good groove in these first 2 games, albeit on the road. I think at home they'll get a lot more. They'll have a lot more juice to them with the feeding off the crowd. I don't really like Bieber, and I'm worried that you're going to have to go to the bullpen so early if he only lasted 2 2/3. If he goes and the pitch count is high in the first inning and a half, I'm really worried about the bullpen going 6-7 innings for the Blue Jays. I mean, no, they've been okay, but this is a specific spot that Bieber's going to have to give you like 4 1/3. Like he's going to have to give you close.
It might have to be more because most of these relievers have been getting killed.
Right.
So far.
That's what I'm kind of worried about, which is why I don't want to bet the Blue Jays. But I also think the number is probably maybe like 10 cents higher than what I would want to lay for the Mariners. I know that's kind of small, but yeah, 120, 125 is what I would want to lay for the Mariners. But I'll probably stay away from the side. But the total, I do think both teams offensively should be able to score some runs. And I think that's the only avenue that the Blue Jays have is to be able to outscore them, unless Shane Bieber turns into his old self. So I like over. The side-wise, I would go, if I had to bet it, I would bet the Blue Jays. But thank God I don't have to.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Seattle in this game. I think Kirby's better than Bieber. I don't think it's particularly close. Bieber, for a guy that showed up mid-season after a serious arm injury that cost him about 1.5 years, he was fine, but recently has not been that sharp. And Kirby, I thought, looked very good against Detroit. So I'll go with Seattle in this game, especially with the first ALCS game for this franchise at home since 2001. I think the crowd's going to be really into it. Now, I don't think Toronto's going to roll over per se. I'm not saying Toronto goes down early and just dies. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think Seattle right now has just looked better. And you could argue that Toronto, I know Seattle's not the most experienced team either. They traded for Suarez, so he's not been very good, but he's experienced. Arozarena, we know, has been in a World Series before. They have some guys that actually have been around the block a few times. So you could argue maybe the leadership is good enough to string the young guys along. But we know Raleigh's been good. Julio with the big home run. His postseason hasn't been that great, but at least he had a big home run. And Polanco's been great. Toronto's still relatively inexperienced. And I do question if this team is mentally ready to dig themselves out of this hole, or if maybe they just roll over like some young teams do, and we'll see them again next year. So that is a bit of my concern here. Is Toronto mentally tough enough to actually battle and maybe force a series out of this? I don't know. But I think Bieber, who has not been good recently, and with Kirby, who has been good lately, not to mention the bullpen being bad for Toronto, it's a tough spot. And I think Seattle at home takes care of business. So I'll go with Seattle in this game. For the over-under, it's still tricky because, once again, I don't really know how great I feel about the bullpen for Toronto. Seattle's bullpen wasn't good against Detroit. It's been very good in this series so far, so maybe they've found something matchup-wise. I'll go with the under in this game. Still in Seattle, so you get the marine layer, and I do think that wind or no wind, we'll see if the roof's open or not for this game. I see a low-scoring game, though. I think it's going to be a very tight game 3, must-win game for Toronto. I see a nail-biter. I'll go Seattle 3-2. That's my thoughts on this game.
Yeah, correlated. I think it's correlated. If you like Mariners, you like under. If you like Blue Jays, you like over. I mean,
Probably.
That's as simple as it is. I mean, because if you – like, I agree with you 100% with the pitching matchup. Like, Kirby's the superior pitcher, and you don't know what you're going to get from Bieber. So, if you like the Mariners, you think that, Bieber goes maybe 2-3 innings, and they're able to get a couple of runs off of him.
But you said they need more because you don't trust the bullpen either.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying if you're on the Seattle side, you would say, hey, well, they're just gonna shut them down after getting up 2 or 3. The morale goes down for the Blue Jays. They, reality starts to sit in. They're going down 3-0. Got to win 2 games in Seattle. Like, it's going to be tough. So I think it's correlated. If you like Blue Jays, you like over. If you like Mariners, you like under.
Yeah, I do think that Seattle, despite scoring 10 runs in Game 2, they have still not really done anything offensively at home this entire postseason. To read off the home game so far, they scored 2 runs in Game 1 against Detroit. That was with some extra innings involved. Scored 3 runs in Game 2. They scored 3 runs in the closeout game, which they won in 15 innings, scored 3 runs in 15 innings, and that's it. So they've scored a grand total of, once again, 8 runs in their 3 home games this postseason combined.
Yeah, but 2 of those were against Scuba, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so
that is correct.
That
is correct. But you just sabotaged my entire slant to take. Yes, that is correct. Well, to be fair, 15 innings are still 15 innings.
Yeah,
like,
didn't
pitch
that's
like there were still 9 innings involved. Without him in it. But
that's fair.
The point is, Seattle offensively at home has been kind of non-existent, but a lot of their games at home have been rock fights. In fact, every home game's finished 3-2. So you know what? Give it to me again. Give me Seattle 3-2 for the 4th time in this postseason. But
it might pay well.
You have a score prediction for this game? You think it's close? You think they blow them out?
No, I think it'll be close, but a little bit more high scoring. I mean, I'll go 6-4 Blue Jays. Maybe pull it out.
I guess you have the over.
Yeah, I'll go 6-4 Blue Jays. Late rally. They're down. They're down 4-3. They're down by 1. And then they go on a rally in the 8th and 9th.
All right, so we just disagree on everything for this game. You have the over in Toronto. I got the under in Seattle. So we'll go from there. But I do want to ask you, though, for player props, anybody that you're potentially targeting, whether it involves overs, unders, pitchers, hitters, anything you like?
Yeah, I'm looking at Bieber to go a little bit longer, simply because of what we said. Kind of the same handicap that D-Rock gave with Miller. I think he absolutely has to keep the pressure off of the bullpen. So I'm looking at his outs over. Particularly maybe his I'm looking at his outs over. He's not a big swing. He doesn't have the swing and miss stuff still. So I maybe look at over on outs, under on strikeouts. I think that may be a little bit correlated as well. He's pretty much a contact pitcher, and I think Seattle will be able to hit the ball early on. So, yeah, I'm looking at him as far as the bases, as far as the hitting wise. I didn't have a ton, man. To be honest, I thought this has been a weird kind of like hitting game because you had the 2-3 run shots, and then you had Polanco just go crazy in the first game. So it's not a ton of guys who are actually like getting on base outside of maybe a walk here and there, and then the home run stuff, and obviously you're gonna with Raleigh. So yeah, I didn't have a ton with the player props. Maybe you can put me on something.
Well, I was trying to find some batters that have had some success against Kirby, and there are two. So one is Springer, who's 3 for 8 lifetime.
Springer's my guy,
double. So you can go Springer if you want to for maybe HRR, if you think he actually does something. Plus, you're looking Toronto to score 6 runs. So you probably want Springer, who's going to be batting leadoff, because you get some powerful bats behind him. The other good batter against him is Santander, who got scratched with a back injury. So Santander is not going to play. Now, against the Yankees, he was easily the worst player on the roster because he clearly came back early from injury, didn't have it, and Toronto realized, what are we even doing? So you're looking at Santander, who's been good historically, but he's not playing. So I can't use that for information, for the actual prop section. So I don't mind Springer potentially in this game. Springer, his HRR is at -104. He has gone over in 7 of the last 10 games. He's gone over in both games in this series. So I don't mind Springer going over with the HRR for one prop. I mean, you mentioned the outs. I got to bring it up. Bieber's outs are at 14.5. You like the over or the under for that? Because it sounds like we like the under.
I think 14.5. I thought we were going to get like.
It sounds right, though. I mean, you're mentioning potentially 3 innings. It's also a must-win game, though. So if Toronto's down, they might pull him if he sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, at that number, I would look under. I thought we were going to get like a 11.5.
Yeah.
But yeah,
especially with the day off yesterday or the day off today. I mean,
you got 7 days rest, right?
Yeah, but you're going to be able to reset the bullpen if you need to. So I like the under on Bieber there.
Yeah, at that number, I would go under. I like the over initially, but I thought it would be a little bit lower. Yeah, at 14.5, I can only look under.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. That's -108 if you want the under on that.
Yeah, I would look at that.
Looking at Seattle batters here, if you want to go just for consistency, you can get J.P. Crawford single at +139. He's had a single in 7 of the last 9 games.
Yeah, he's got some real quality ABs also. I think he works the count really well. He doesn't really go for the out of the strike zone stuff. I might look at him for like total bases as well. I might bet that. I don't think it's a such thing as a ladder in baseball, is it? But yeah, I might look at some stuff with.
In theory, you can do a half a base, then 1.5 base, and go from there. Lifetime, he is 6 of 12 against Bieber with a walk.
Yeah,
so he actually has been very good against Bieber.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at Crawford. Yeah, that's a good one.
Bieber's been good. Looking at some other guys, Garver's been terrible. Rosarena's 0 for 8 with 5 strikeouts. That's not good. Julio's 1 for 9 with 4 strikeouts. Suarez 4 for 18 with 9 strikeouts. Shout out to Suarez, though, at a double. I was shocked he got a hit. He also got hit by an error, which was fun when he was sitting in the dugout. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did. They challenged it. You know what? The Toronto manager gave a really great interview. Usually those are kind of like BS.
Well, the argument is simple. He was in the field to play, but he was clearly headed towards the dugout. I like the call in the field.
I thought he gave a great interview and breaking down on why he challenged it and what he saw. So yeah, that was a good sideline interview. I'm typically against that, but that was a really good one. No,
the truth is that I think that you're looking at most managers giving you classic coach speak.
Exactly.
But I do think that when you're actually listening to Schneider's quotes and everything, he seems to know what he's talking about.
Yeah, no, he does. Yeah,
I know last year we kind of thought he was an idiot, but no, you actually listen to him talk. He actually knows ball, but he was clearly just trying to find the technicality to avoid giving away second base to Seattle. But
did he score? Did they score that round? Right?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe they scored that inning, so it didn't matter in the end.
Oh,
but I do at least acknowledge what he was going for. But I like the call because it obviously was headed right towards the dugout and it hit Suarez in the back. So whatever. But I mean, Suarez no hits though is fun. So you can go for that if you want to. But any thoughts on Raleigh? Any thoughts on Kirby over 1.5 earned runs?
Yeah, I would look at Kirby over 1.5 runs because I think, like I said, I'm pro Toronto offense. I think they have to get it going. So what is that price on that?
That's about minus 123.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, Raleigh's numbers, I mean, are probably inflated, so it's kind of hard to back him. What is his home run, like 225?
No, it's going to be higher than that because it's in Seattle. His homer's at plus 308. His HRR is at plus 101 for 1.5.
Yeah, I would definitely look at that. Although, did they say anything about like
His groin.
yeah,
When
he
he
didn't
threw
get
the ball the
injured,
first
but he
pitch.
got banged up a couple of times. Like I was like, oh man.
Well, he had to make a very. He made a very nice play.
Yeah, he did.
With a ball that was hit about 3 feet.
Yeah.
But he looked at his groin afterwards, and he didn't leave the game. So he
Yeah, I
did
mean,
catch afterwards.
he's still okay. He's still.
I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know if they said anything about that. I'm
It
pretty sure
clearly
he got
wasn't a fluid motion for him, but he didn't
Yeah.
leave the game, so
Yeah.
I think he's fine.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, HRR I would look at Raleigh at that price.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's gonna likely maybe get walked in a couple of high pressure situations, and I'm expecting a lot of runs. So pretty sure he'll be on base, and maybe he'll get one shot at top of the first.
Yeah, for the record, walk for Raleigh
bottom
is
of the
minus
first, I'm sorry.
145.
Yeah.
So they're expecting him to get on base basically at least once.
Yeah.
So that's one of the potential battles there. So
Yeah.
I don't mind the HRR plus money
Yep.
for that one. All right. You have any other thoughts you want to mention for Game 3?
I do not, man.
I
think
see
it's gonna be a
Andy
good game,
mentioning. I see Andy mentioning Vlad double at plus 500.
Yeah, Vlad's had some. He's had some horrible ABs last game. Horrible.
Yes, he did. I think he's 0 for 7 in the series.
Yeah,
so
he's been horrible. He used all his power against the Yankees.
I guess so.
Yeah,
but either way,
but like not just. I mean, granted, good ABs don't equate to anything. Just good talking points. It's kind of like CLV.
yeah. For the record, he's 2 for 9 lifetime with a double against Kirby.
Yeah, I think Vlad has to have a big one though. He's got to have a big series. I mean, a big game. I guess a good series in Seattle. So yeah, he's got to come. He's got to come to play, man. He's had horrible ABs. Like he's swinging in the dirt. Like he was up in the count twice, if I'm not mistaken. Like he was up 3-1 and then again like 3-0.
He's been chasing a bit.
Yeah,
on the outside.
like so that's bad. Like really, really bad. So yeah.
Yeah, but I don't mind 5-1 in this ballpark. So
yeah, I would look at a home run. I would look at a home run on Vlad.
Okay. Either way, though, that's going to wrap it up for our thoughts on Game 3 of the ALCS. Before we get into the lock and dog... Actually, no, the best bets. We'll do a best bet instead. Yeah. Before we get into best bets, a reminder, they're brought to you by our sponsor, Arctic Fantasy. Great place to play Fantasy Pick'em. Chance to win 500 times your entry. Pick higher or lower on your favorite player stats. Available for 10 different sports as well. You can mix and match. Brand new offer for new customers. Play just $5, get $100 bonus funds. Use promo code MLB SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. They're off to a great start in college football and the NFL with picks and props. Rhythm's giving away weekly cash prizes for tracking your bets in the app. Track 5 bets of the same type from all that you build, and you can win $1K. We also have a nice promo code discount with Rhythm. If you use the promo code SGPN25, when you download the Rhythm app, you'll get a quarter off first month. Now, Rhythm, once again, promo code SGPN25 for a quarter off your first month. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Finished going through the only game on the Wednesday card. Time to move on into our best bets. Lonte, what do you like as your best bet for Game 3 of the ALCS?
Yeah, I'm completely going to shift gears because of something that you brought up. I like that Kirby over 1.5 earned runs a lot at minus 123, simply because of how I think the game is going to go as far as how it flows. I think Toronto has to come out and get to an early start because we saw, Seattle has kind of taken control of the game early on and has put a lot of pressure on Toronto. I think they have to flip it in this series. In order to do that, they got to get on the run. They got to get on the board first. So I'm going over 1.5 runs. I think Vlad maybe can hit a 2-run bomb and get us over early on. So I'm going best bet minus. Not minus, but over 1.5 earned runs for Kirby minus 123.
For my best bet, I'll go with if I want to play it safe, I would do Crawford hit, but I can do Crawford single at around plus 149. I'll play it safe. I'll take the hit. I'll go with Crawford once again. Hit at minus 115. He's had a hit in 7 of the last 9 games. Said before, his numbers against Bieber are just absolutely absurd. So I think he's in a good spot to do some damage here. We know he's a good contact hitter. Puts bats on balls. That's what I look for. And the fact is, against Bieber in his career, 6 for 12 lifetime. So it's been a single. Fun fact. So if you want to go for the single, you can at plus 149, but I'll go for the hit instead at minus 115 just in case. Moving on, though, to the home run picks. Lonte, what do you like as your home run choice for Game 3?
Well, I think I just gave it away, man. I like Vlad to get it done. He didn't have the best Game 2. think he bounces back. Has to have a game. I don't know if it's correlated, but when he plays, I don't know if there's any way to kind of quantify this. But when he plays well, Toronto typically wins games, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to take Vlad to have a big game. I'm going to take his home runs. I'm going to take his HRR total. I'm going to take everything over on Vlad. So I think Vlad has a big game.
For the record, Vlad home run is plus 450.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right.
I would like to get a little bit higher, but
yeah. Well, that's all I could find for now. For my home run pick, do I think Bieber actually keeps the ball in the ballpark? Because a part of me wanted to go no home run. I thought about it with this ballpark, with Kirby. He did give up a home run to Carpenter, but Carpenter owns him. No home runs plus 550 for a total of 7. That number does feel extremely generous for me. I want to look at Bieber's home runs allowed because I know he allowed none against the Yankees, even though he got shelled. He has been giving up home runs, so that is probably not going to be something I can take. Suarez is the only guy on Tampa that's actually, not Tampa, sorry, the only guy on Seattle that has taken him deep before, but I can't take him because I think Suarez has been awful this entire postseason. I mean, most of the guys here don't have great numbers. Polanco's numbers are actually pretty good against Bieber. He is 8 for 29 lifetime with, once again, 323 on base. He's been the hot hitter so far in the series. But do I think we get a nice performance from one of Seattle's young leaders? I'm going to go for it. He had a homer earlier in the series. He had a homer last game, actually. I think he can do some damage, but Julio Rodriguez home run at plus 528, I think is a very good price. I'm going to take that. Give me Julio home run, plus 528. Think he puts the pressure on with, of course, the home crowd behind him. I'll go Julio at a pretty good price there for his home run at plus 528 as my home run choice. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for our thoughts for Game 3 of the ALCS. A reminder for the upcoming schedule for the Thursday games. Thursday, we have 2 games. You have Game 3 between the Brewers and Dodgers, and you have Game 4 between Toronto and Seattle. So back to break down those 2 games on Wednesday. Till next time, you can find me on Twitter, Radio. Find him on Twitter at XLonteXX. Till next